Occasionally I will put something on my Instagram story about doing cardio, and a certain subsection of my followers will react in the manner of,
"What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping."
and then I'll get an influx of questions that sound like, how come you do cardio on a bulk? Or sometimes they just say, thought you were bulking, bro. And so I thought I would just make a simple video answering that question. That is at least what I thought. However, I overanalyze things. I have a tendency to follow thoughts down multiple rabbit holes and digress. As such, that is what has happened. This is now just generally a video dissecting cardio for people who lift. Like me, I lift. I lift sometimes, quite often. I lift quite often, mate. That's why I'm big. Before we can answer that question, we must first question the question, because you can't just go around answering questions without having first questioned the question. You know what I mean? You've always got to question the question. Maybe you've got to question the question of the question. Anyway, I'm gonna split it into two parts. How come you do cardio? I can and will answer that. Let's park it for now. So the second part is whilst on a bulk, and this is where the confusion arises generally. I get the impression from the way these questions are phrased that a lot of people have the idea that cardio can somehow stop you from gaining muscle. So in the spirit of questioning the question, I want to know why people ask this. Why is cardio kills gains such a prevalent myth within fitness? It's literally up there with the protein window and no carbs after 6. It's a Hall of Fame myth, right? And I think one reason is that, generally speaking, we're lifters. I know some of you don't lift, some of you like ride bikes and do other shit. Whatever, that's all cool. Some of you might play ping pong, that's fine as well. I actually love ping pong. Anyway, generally speaking, we're all lifters, and so we follow lifters, we follow bodybuilders, physique competitors, people like this. And so when we see other people doing cardio, most of the time it is solely in the context of burning fat. It is a bodybuilder with the treadmill on an incline, doing a 30-minute walk at the end of his workout when he's in the depths of a cut and like prepping for something, or, you know, so we see some boring ass kind of cardio and we see a dude doing it who fucking hates it, because bodybuilders love to hate shit, man. They love the struggle, don't they? Do you know what I mean? And so it's like, I hate this cardio so much, but I'm so fucking sick for doing it. And I'm like, well, maybe do something you fucking enjoy, man. Anyway, I'm digressing. We see it as solely a means to burn calories rather than as a lifestyle choice. Now, another reason why this misinformation becomes so widespread, and why a lot of misinformation becomes widespread, is because in some circumstances there could be an element of truth to it. So let's break it down into the basics. Cardio requires calories. Building muscle requires calories. You don't have an infinite number of calories. So the idea is, if I do cardio, I may then not be able to build muscle because I literally don't have the energy to. And further to that, that's really fucking scary shit, we all need to shit ourselves. When you're doing cardio, sometimes if you actually need extra calories to fuel that cardio, you actually break down muscle, man. Like literally muscle protein breakdown. Shit, man, we all need to shit ourselves. Actually, we don't need to shit ourselves, because it's about balance, the balance of breakdown and synthesis, and you actually do the same shit when you're lifting, it's just that you then rebuild it. Point is this, these are extreme circumstances in which the myth could be true, and it can be true. What I'm saying is, for 99% of us, it's not gonna be a drama, man. And so people use analogies and say shit like, yeah, well, look at marathon runners, man. Look at marathon runners, mate. You got no gains, mate. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay, but is Paula Radcliffe doing a push-pull leg split? I doubt it, mate. Is she on the fucking whey protein, mate? I doubt it. I think if you say to Paula Radcliffe, what you training today, she'd be like, today's run a really fucking long way day. And then you're like, all right, cool, what are you on tomorrow? Are you on chest tomorrow or what? And she's like, nah, tomorrow I'm on run a really, really, really fucking long way. Because every day is run a really long way day for marathon runners. So it's not like gaining and maintaining muscle is on their agenda. And if you're gonna go down that route, I can give counter examples. You can say, look at rugby players, look at MMA fighters, look at some boxers, even some football players. These people do infinitely more cardio than any of us probably are ever gonna do, and they still manage to maintain muscle. I also think, in general, we underestimate the efficiency of the human body, how efficiently it deals with calories. Let me give you an example. So, sometimes when I'm feeling a bit peckish, I walk over that way. Walk about 4 meters north. I don't know if that's north, it's probably not. And I grab a bagel off the shelf, and slice it in half, get some peanut butter, ladle that shit on, mate. It's about 40 grams, 45 grams. I've pushed it to 50 when I'm feeling nuts. And then I get a banana, like, I didn't have that as a general prop. My fruit bowl is literally just there. Or maybe I did. Anyway, where the fuck am I? Then I eat it, like so, that's how I eat it. The whole process usually takes me about 3 minutes, or maybe like 3.5 if I'm particularly slow that day. Now, if I wanna go to the gym, get a cardio machine, or wanna go do some cardio outside, generally speaking, if I wanna burn those calories through cardio, it is a fucking slog, man. It is not easy. You do not just like walk to the co-op and back. I'm like, oh shit, I burned 500 calories. It takes a lot of effort, mate. That's like an hour or more of quite intense cardio. You know, I remember the first time I ever got on a rowing machine and I was watching the calories, and I was like this, I was like, why the fuck aren't they going down? Surely I must be burning more calories than this. I fucking wasn't, mate. I was just like, wow, that's insane. It's insane how I can eat like sort of like this. There's actually fuck all calories in that. That's proof that my fruit bowl is there. It's not actual proof, but you can eat something small, like my advent calendar that I had this morning. Not the whole calendar, just the chocolate for today, because I'm just a good lad. Like, it was probably 50 calories, man. 50 calories ain't easy. It's fucking tiny, and it's 50 calories, and like, that's some activity. The point I'm getting at is, for the vast majority of us, we'll be able to eat back any calories we need if we need to. and only in extreme circumstances where you have particular issues with appetite would that be a problem. Even in those cases, I would look at reducing cardio or limiting it as a last resort, because I've still got a tangerine, because most people are going to be able to just make alterations to the diet, to the eating regime, such that they include more calorie dense, less satiating foods that enables them to get in more calories without being so full that you can't eat anymore. To summarize, the answer to that initial question of how come you do cardio on a bulk is because there is no reason not to. That is the first answer. However, if we're gonna tie up the loose ends that arise from that, then we've got another couple of questions. We've got, why do you do it anyway? And then, kind of importantly, and what I think people might generally be more interested in, if there are there any reasons to do cardio that specifically help when bulking? So should you do it if wanting to maximize the productivity of your bulk? Are there any carryovers? So first, I just want to address really quickly I'm not going to say the reasons why I do cardio, I'll actually get to that later. Benefits. Let's talk about benefits of cardio in general. I'm going to go really quick with this. I'm going to flash it up on the screen. You're going to have to pause the video if you want to read specific studies and stuff, but I will link every single one in the description. So if you want to go do some extracurricular reading, you are welcome to. Some general benefits, mate. Some general benefits of aerobic exercise. Now, before we start, actually, let's do caveats. So, caveat number one, some of the benefits of aerobic exercise are inextricably linked to positive changes in body composition. So, i.e., is this good change happening because I'm doing cardio or because I'm not as fat anymore? Sometimes it's both, sometimes it's one or the other. Sometimes actually they are independent of each other, and so you see improvements in certain health markers regardless of changes in body composition. That's quite interesting to me. Oh, second caveat, actually, some of these positive effects that I'm going to describe, resistance training will also bring about, sometimes resistance training to a lesser extent than cardio. A lot of the time, the effect will be better when aerobic and resistance training is combined. Okay. Let's do a few. This is not an exhaustive list, but this is some good shit you can expect, mate, if you do cardio like over long term. Decreased risk of stroke recurrence, cardiovascular disease, all that good shit. Basically, you just don't have heart attacks and strokes and shit. Generally, always good to not have a stroke. All right, can improve memory and cognition, can combat decline in brain function associated with aging, and help protect against development of Alzheimer's and dementia. Can help control blood sugar, improve blood cholesterol levels, and reduce blood pressure. Aerobic exercise acutely increases insulin sensitivity, although long-term effects, as I said before, may be dependent on body composition changes. Decreases, this is a sick one, mate, decreases chance of erectile dysfunction in men. That's ideal, mate, because it's always nice to have a dick that works, mate. Just in case you need it, one day you might need it, never know. One day you might lose your virginity, that'd be nice. All right, I'm being stupid, be serious, man. Oh, this is a good one as well. May lead to enhanced arousal in women, sexual arousal, that is. I think the study I saw was women taking antidepressants, but that might translate over into general population, who knows. May improve, I think it does improve self-control. Don't know how that was measured. Can fight osteoporosis by inhibiting decreases in bone mineral density. Improve mood, combat anxiety when performed long-term. Resistance training also can aid with that. Helps you get to sleep easier and promotes REM sleep. Looks like resistance training might also boosts immune system. This is possible. I think the jury's a bit out on that. From what I read, that wasn't like conclusive, but possible, because there are a lot of, you mix up like correlation and causality, right? So you don't know if someone's generally lived a fucking healthy life, then there are going to be a lot of things that went in with that. Like generally they will have exercised more, but they also probably ate better. And so if an elderly population, an active population, is compared against an inactive population, and the inactive one has a higher incidence of certain conditions or whatever, the inactive one, the reason that incidence is higher isn't necessarily because of the inactivity, although maybe because of other lifestyle factors that went along with that inactivity. So it's just basic 101 reading shit. Right. So is there a direct way in which cardio is going to help with the bulk? So aerobic training itself isn't going to actually build muscle, apart from in very extreme circumstances, basically not our circumstances. If you're elderly and you've never moved before, and then suddenly you start moving, you may build a small amount of muscle. For us, you know, going for a run ain't gonna give you big legs, so you can't say, I'm not training legs because I play footy. So that being said, are there any ways in which doing cardio can carry over and have a positive effect on your bulk? I think it's safe to say fucking yes. Now, what are these? So this is not, again, an exhaustive list. This is semi off the top of my head and semi based off the previous list. So your VO2 max will improve as a result of resistance training if it is pretty low to begin with. So that implies that there is some kind of aerobic demand put upon you by any resistance training program. So if you don't have the aerobic capacity to deal with the demands of your resistance training session, then getting to that level of fitness would probably be quicker through actual aerobic training rather than just lifting and waiting for yourself to get there. Although that would eventually happen, because obviously if you do something repetitively, eventually you will adapt to a point where you can cope with the demands of that. Let's just follow that a little bit further. I think it's probably safe to say that if you have a higher base level of fitness, you would probably recover better between your sets. So it's probably not going to apply if you're talking about doing sets of concentration curls that aren't particularly demanding. But I've got off the back of plenty of difficult sets of compounds like squats, deadlifts. T-bar rows actually fuck me from a cardio perspective. And if you're able to recover faster between your sets, so say you're having 2-minute rest periods, then I think you're going to make better use of those rest periods and be more ready for your next set if you have a higher aerobic capacity, higher basic level of fitness. Now, one alternative would be obviously just take longer rest periods. That is an option. You may choose that option. However, in an ideal world, it's probably nice not to have to. Secondly, if you sleep longer, sleep better, or have a better quality of sleep, I'm sure it kind of follows that you should be better able to recover. So certainly a lack of sleep will definitely inhibit your ability to recover and also to perform the following day. So that's another thing to consider. All right, thirdly, let's take it back to basics, back to cardio purely as a means of burning calories. So envisage 6 months from now, it's coming up to summer wherever you live, whatever, I don't know where you are. In the UK, 6 months from now, it's going to be like coming up to the start of summer, and a lot of people are going to be doing a cut, trying to get shredded so you can go Ibiza with the lads and, you know, look all lean and that and get some tasty ass pics. And so they're going to start incorporating cardio into their routine as part of their cut, because they're like, yeah, cardio, I'll get shredded, mate, yes, yes, yes. So when they do that, right, let's say this is you. Let's say you're going to the gym and you want to go burn 500 calories on the treadmill. Who is going to find it easier to burn 500 calories on a treadmill? Someone who is physically fit through having done cardio consistently over long periods of time, or somebody who hasn't done cardio since the last time he went on a lad's holiday with his mates and was prepping for it? Do you know what I mean? If two people are next to each other and they're at exact same height, weight, everything, and they both want to burn 500 calories, the one who is physically fitter is going to perceive that to be a lot easier than the one who is unfit and less capable. And therefore, maybe this person can then go faster, go for longer, burn more calories. Just saying, might help. I was going to put another part in here, but I'm going to put it at the end of the video for the sake of continuity. Bonus question at the end of the video. Fourth potential benefit: if the immune system thing is true and consistent aerobic training over long periods of time leads to better, more capable immune system, then it follows that maybe you'll be sick less, mate, and that's ideal because there is nothing more catabolic than being in bed sick. So that's number 4. Now, I'm sure I could come up with plenty more ways in which there could be some potential carryovers from your aerobic training into your resistance training and resistance training, recovery, etc, etc. However, we can't do this yet because we still need to go back and question the question because there has not been enough questioning of the question. So we're gonna do that now. So let's go back to a little bit earlier in the video when I was talking about this whole cardio kills gains myth kind of thing, because it might not actually be a myth in some cases, and so there's always context, right? So we're gonna find that. Bear with me because this is gonna be scary. There have actually been a lot of studies over the past 20 or 30 years looking at resistance training alone compared with resistance training and endurance training. Pretty categorically, most of those showed that there is what they call an interference factor, where the endurance training kind of works against the resistance training and kind of definitely slows the progress that you can potentially make from that. However, this is it. We don't need to panic. Let's not fucking panic. Here, I am speaking generally, saying things like endurance training or cardio. So that is very fucking vague, man. I mean, you can't just use that to signify anything that gets you out of breath, because it's not really that simple. So the extent to which the endurance training interferes with your resistance training outcomes is based on the intensity, the modality, the frequency, etc, etc. So really the question of can cardio help your bulk is far too vague, because cardio is just a broad term, and not all forms of cardio, not all forms of aerobic exercise are going to affect your bulk equally. So not all will be of equal benefit or potentially detriment. Just laptop time again. For example, this meta-analysis. Where the fuck is this one? Lost me shit. This meta-analysis looked at the effect of HIIT and resistance training compared with resistance training alone. Now bear in mind this is a meta-analysis, so it's like gathering a shit ton of studies done over a shit ton of years and trying to amalgamate them all and extrapolate some kind of conclusion. So it would be generally more reliable than a single study, depending on generally. It found no differences in hypertrophy and upper body strength between groups. So that's HIIT plus resistance training and just resistance training. No difference. That's nice. Did report a lower increase in lower body strength for HIIT and resistance training, but also found that this seemed to be specific to cycling, and when running made up the HIIT component, there was no difference. So that's nice. It's strange how little things can seem to affect it like this, but yeah. Now you can obviously find counterexamples. For example, this study implies that HIIT and moderate intensity continuous training similarly affect or are of similar detriment to resistance training outcomes like strength and hypertrophy and shit like that. However, this was one study done on 23 people, and so you have to give each piece of potential evidence, you know, an appropriate level of weighting when trying to make any decisions or come to any conclusions. That study was actually done on recreationally active males, and when trained athletes were used to compare strength training plus HIIT with strength training plus continuous training, no difference was found. So all in all, most of what I can find points to an interference factor when endurance training is used as a general term, but when it's specified that it's HIIT, it seems to be a much safer option, and it seems like the interference factor is little to none. So on the whole, I would say HIIT is probably the safer option. I would be pretty confident in saying that. Now, on top of the intensity of your cardio is also going to be the frequency. So this study compared resistance training alone to resistance training combined with different frequencies of endurance training, showed a ratio of 3:1, that'd be resistance to endurance, as superior to a ratio of 1:1. I think that's pretty applicable to us. It makes sense actually. You wouldn't expect You wouldn't expect somebody doing equal resistance training and endurance training to get the same outcomes as someone doing 3 times the resistance training as endurance. So don't do too much, mate. And I think a ratio of 3 to 1 is probably still even kind of high for most of us. Typically, I'd probably do like 1 cardio session for probably every 3 or 4 resistance sessions, maybe. All right, so we've made some kind of distinction between HIIT versus pretty much the rest of cardio. We could probably pretty safely say that HIIT is the superior option. We can also say that in general, if your goal is to build muscle, just don't do excessive amounts. So there we've got some very basic guidelines to at least fucking start with. Now, since I've been going through this, I kind of realized that the question needs more questioning, man. It's actually not the right question, because if I answer the question, can cardio benefit your bulk? Then the answer is obviously yes, because there are ways in which it can benefit. But if I answer the opposite of that question, if there is an opposite, can cardio be a detriment to your bulk? The answer is also yes, because there are many ways it can help, and there are also probably plenty of ways in which it will hinder. And so the actual question, the real question that we want to know, the real question is, will cardio have a net positive effect on the bulk? Or alternatively, you could phrase it, will my bulk be more successful if I do some cardio during, over if I didn't do any at all? AKA, do all the benefits, do the positives outweigh the negatives? Because everything is a combination of positives and negatives, and the fucking difficult part of life is trying to balance them and decide, is the bottom line in the black or in the red? It's difficult. Now, after everything, if we're talking purely from the perspective of building muscle, although I would very much like to, I admit my bias, I don't think I could stand there and categorically say that your bulk would be more successful if you were to undertake some cardio as part of your regime. It may do, but you have to be very confident of things to say something categorically on as a truism, to state something as fact. I don't think I would be comfortable saying 100% yes. Now, I certainly do think that if you go about it the right way, if you're conscious of the type of cardio and the, like we said, the intensity and frequency of the cardio that you're doing, I certainly don't think it has to hinder your bulk. But like I say, I probably couldn't stand here and say it would 100% have a net positive effect on the actual amount of muscle mass that you build over the course of your bulk. Now, you can read all the studies that I've shown in this video, that I've linked in the description. You can go and read thousands of other applicable studies and bits of information that are out there, and hopefully make your own decision. I hope that I have at least helped you get closer to that decision, and I hope that I haven't just completely confused the fuck out of everyone, which is also a possibility. Finally, this brings me to the real reason I actually do this. So I'm gonna answer the legit initial question that was posed right at the beginning of this video. And if I'm 100% honest, it's nothing that I've actually mentioned so far, because in reality, in the real world, I don't walk to the gym and get on the treadmill thinking, I can't wait to not have a stroke later in life, or fuck me, I'm looking forward to my blood lipid profile improving as a result of this cardiovascular exercise. Like, that is just not how it happens at all. Because if knowing that something is good for you was enough reason to motivate us to do it, I think we'd all live pretty different fucking lives. We'd all refrain from a lot of the shit that is bad for us, and we'd all do a lot more of the stuff that we know is good for us that we still don't do. But sadly, I think we're motivated by probably more petty things than that, or at least, let me just speak for myself at least. I would like to be that guy, man, but I'm probably motivated by more petty factors. Shit like instant gratification and having a fucking ego. So the instant gratification side of it is I do cardio because undeniably it just makes me feel fucking great. Like, I don't know the actual science behind the whole endorphin hit you're supposed to get off exercise. And maybe I should have looked into that for this video. Probably should have, to be honest, but I'm not gonna pretend to know about it because I don't know about it. But all I do know is my subjective experience of cardio versus weight sessions is sometimes after a sick cardio session, I lie there completely fucked and I feel literally fucking euphoric. Like, actually euphoric. I'm not just using that word loosely, like actually proper sick. And I just don't get that to the same extent with lifting. And that alone would be enough to make me do it, man, because I'm an instant gratification kind of guy, man. I wish I wasn't. I wish it was a delayed gratification, wise motherfucker, but I'm not. So this brings me to the second reason. It actually doesn't, but I'm gonna move on to the second reason anyway. To be honest, I've got a bit of a fucking ego. I think most people probably have, but I'm out here trying to like have a decent self-image. I'm trying to like respect myself and shit. I'm trying to look at myself and think, yeah, you're quite a sick dude, man. And part of my definition of a sick dude is someone who has at least a basic level of fitness, at least someone who isn't unfit. And, you know, so I can't be someone who gets to the top of a set of stairs and is out of breath. Like, I just can't be that guy, man. I can't be the guy who's sat chatting to the camera now making YouTube videos and people commenting going, wow, he's fucking out of breath just talking. Like, you actually see those comments, right? And if I was that guy, I would end it all right now. So, you know, it's just that part of my definition of the kind of person I want to be, you know, is somebody who has a decent level of basic fitness. And that definition includes a load of other shit that I don't have, man. Like infinite shit that I would like to have about myself that I just fucking don't. But the fitness is the easy bit, man, because all you have to do is run or fucking pedal, punch a fucking punch bag. That's the easy part, mate. So I'm gonna check off the basics, you know, start with the foundations, man. I'm gonna do that before I try and even get into all the rest of the more difficult shit. And so the real reason that I actually do cardio is because A, I don't want to see myself as a shit lad, and B, more importantly, because I'm an ego-driven human, I don't want other people to see me as a shit lad. You might see me as a shit lad anyway, but if you do, you're fucking wrong, because I'm sound. Okay, that was a fucking speech, mate. Alright, we're not finished there. This video's gonna go on forever, soz about that. But I just went, you know, I just went down rabbit holes, mate. I hope it all made sense, but anyway. I want to do some specifics. So what kind of actual cardio should you do? First and foremost, I would say, above all else, do some cardio that you enjoy, because, you know, if we're gonna say, like, there's a big hype these days about, like, you know, follow your dreams and, you know, your work should be your passion, and if you do something you enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah, all right, but that applies to everything you do. And so if you're gonna do something often, try and make it something that you like, man. But, you know, cardio shouldn't be any different. And so if you try enough kinds, enough different types, enough different activities, I'm sure that you can find something that you enjoy. On top of that, you know, it's not just the actual time spent doing it, but you're more likely to adhere to it. You're more likely to do it consistently over a long period of time if you like doing it, man. That makes sense. So I'm gonna take you through the main 4 types of cardio that I will do, and now they would probably all loosely come under interval training. So there's type number 1. This is similar to what's called a Wingate test. It basically consists of 30-second quote-unquote sprints, which are periods of max effort, and these are interspersed with 3 to 4 minute active rest periods. So what I'll do is I'll use an exercise bike or a spinning bike, usually one that I can adjust the difficulty, the resistance manually, so that I can do it really quick. I don't have to wait for a machine to fuck about. So what I'll do is 3 to 4 minutes of steady pace pedaling with little to no resistance. So you literally, you know, this is pretty easy, man. And then after that 4 minutes or so, I will turn the resistance up really quick with my hand, and I'll do a burst of like 25 to 30 seconds of absolute max effort, pedaling as fast as I possibly can. And now to do that, to be able to pedal as fast as you can without dying, you need to be able to turn the resistance up to a point where it'll stop you just spinning your wheels way too fast, because otherwise that's just not going to end well for you. And so, I mean, practice a little bit, but it becomes pretty easy once you're used to it, and it helps if there's a spinning bike that has a manual little thing that you can just twist. So if you're doing this for the first time, I'll probably start with 6 sprints. I usually try and do 7 or 8, but sometimes I actually fall short because this is literally brutal as fuck, and you think 25 to 30 seconds isn't very long, but 25 to 30 seconds max effort is literally insane. Like, it's beyond, you will be fucked after it, and you will need that 4 minutes rest. Second kind of do is just hitting a punch bag. So here I'll do like 2-minute rounds with 1 minute rest intervals. So I'm just completely not fit enough to do a solid 3-minute round and a 30-second rest. If I had to do like some kind of competitive boxing bout, I would literally die. Maybe I can work up to it though. And even with those 2 minutes, you do have to pace yourself. You see people going on a bag in the gym and you can tell they've never hit a punch bag before. Not because the technique sucks dick, because mine also sucks dick, but you can tell that they've never been on a punch bag before because they just go at it like solid for like 30 seconds straight, and then they're completely gassed, and they don't realize that you just can't lay into a punch bag continuously for 3 minutes straight because you will fucking die. Like, the third thing I do is a treadmill session, and what I'll do is set a distance. So I usually do 5k, and I'll make this up of intervals that I'll pretty much just judge as I go along. So what I'll do is I'll get on, I'll walk at a decent pace for a bit. It'll be like a brisk walk for a few minutes, and then I'll knock the speed up and I'll get into quite a fast jog. I'll continue with that fast jog until I get to a point where I think this is actually gonna really take me a decent amount of time to recover from. Really when I'm getting to the edge where I think I'm approaching a wall, and then I'll knock it back down, do a brisk walk for another couple of minutes, rest, and then I'll go back up to a speed that's just faster than the one I was previously doing. Then I'll try and keep that up for the same kind of amount of time as previously. But if I have to fall short, that's fine. Essentially, it's going to be brisk walking periods with progressively faster running periods in between, and then eventually you work up to what your final one, which should be close to a sprint, but not an actual sprint, because you can't really do a true sprint on a treadmill. The fourth kind of cardio I do is actual sprint. So I'll find an appropriate area. You just need somewhere that's long and flat without objects. Certainly no potholes. Potholes don't help. So I go to this area that's under an overpass just in Manchester city centre, and it's actually a pretty sick place to do it. So what I'll do is I'll sprint over an area that's probably roughly 100 meters. I've never actually measured it, but somewhere that'll take me close to like 15 seconds or so to actually sprint at full pace. I'll sprint there, and then I'll do a very slow walk back to my starting point. And then when I get back to the starting point, hopefully that's gonna take me like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. You're still gonna be fucked from the initial sprint if you actually did a max effort sprint. And then I will sprint back again, walk back again. If I really think that I'm not gonna be able to manage the sprint, I'll take extra time when I get back to the starting point. I just like these because I enjoy sprinting. I feel like it's just a sick, powerful movement, makes you feel like a sick fuck. And that's it. I actually get pretty sick hamstring DOMs for days after I've been doing these. Alright, that's pretty much it. I hope this video was worthwhile for some people. I know it took up a lot of your time. Yeah, overall, just there's a general message, man. Like, just enjoy your shit, mate. Just try and enjoy shit, and you know, sometimes you're not just passionate. Sometimes you have to do shit before you become passionate about it, and before you start liking it. It's easy to do stuff, and then you grow to like it. Right? This doesn't make sense. Let me do this again. Wait there. You can't only do the stuff that you like, right? But if you try stuff and persevere at stuff for a little bit, you might start liking the stuff that you do. Like, I think it's probably, yeah, I don't know, just try shit and enjoy shit, and I'm just running out of shit to say. Alright, see you later.
Delaney is my hero.
Alright, bonus question. Soz about the fact that it's getting dark, but that's just what happens when the earth rotates, and it is actually rotating. I'm gonna just crack on and finish this video because I've already filmed it over the span of a couple of days, and that's why I got a spontaneous fucking spot on my lip. It didn't just happen, it happened overnight. So I'm gonna finish up anyway. I did say before that there would be a bonus question, so I was talking about doing cardio whilst you're bulking might put you in a better position for when you're cutting, because you would then find it easier to burn calories, as in you would find your cardio sessions easier. And this got me thinking, if there are two people, a fit person versus an unfit person, and let's say they're the same body weight, body composition, they both run 5 kilometers at a steady pace, right? Of course, the fit person is going to perceive it to be easier. And so potentially if they wanted to, they could carry on running, or they could do it faster if they really wanted to, and they could burn more calories that way. But let's say they both did the exact same distance and time, and they were the same stats, everything. Would the fit person burn fewer calories than the unfit person? Now, my initial inclination would be to say no, because I would think that physically you're still moving the same mass, the same distance, you know, it should require the same amount of force. However, that might be conflating force and calories required, because although they're a measure of energy, where there could be potential complications to that is if somehow the unfit person is less efficient with their calories, if some are getting wasted somehow, somewhere, if, you know, and so does the fit person use calories more efficiently, and therefore would they burn fewer over the same distance at the same speed if all else was equal? Now, I found this fucking interesting, just because I asked a few people just off the top of their head. I was like, what do you think about this? And it was quite a, you know, it was quite a mixed bag. Most people, I think, intuitively say, oh, the fit person will burn fewer calories. I don't think that's true. I looked to see what I could find, and I couldn't find much, actually. I found one thing that was, I think it was the abstract of a study, or it was like an article, and it was referring to calculating how many calories a couple of athletes were burning per kilogram per kilometer, because that's basically how these are some of the calculations that like the treadmill uses to give you an estimate of how many calories you're burning. And they reported that these two athletes seemed to be burning 5 to 7% fewer calories than what is typical for untrained people. Now, obviously, this is just two people, and I'm sure there's no body composition taken into this, but it's still an indication. So I think what they used was an example of 500 calories, and he said if the unfit person burnt 500, the fit person would burn around 475. So if there is a difference, it's pretty negligible anyway. Anyway, this was against what I would initially think. I looked a bit more, couldn't really find that much, and so I started looking at VO2 max compared to in relation to basal metabolic rate. So I was using VO2 max as a general indicator of fitness. Yeah, you have to use something, right? And I suppose I was using basal metabolic rate as some kind of indicator of how efficiently somebody uses calories. So if somebody is somehow able to utilize calories more efficiently, then their basal metabolic rate would be lower. Now, I found a couple of studies that didn't find any relation between VO2 max and I think they called it RMR, resting metabolic rate, or something like that. And so they would both probably indicate, I would say you could probably extend that to overall TDEE, and you could say that fit people probably on average don't burn any fewer calories than unfit people, assuming that all else was equal. And so again, that's not categorical, that's a little tangent I wanted to go off on because I personally found it interesting. I thought maybe you would find it interesting. I'm sure there is more kind of research and shit that I could find to shed more light on that. If you want to shed light on it, by all means shed light on it in the comments below. That's actually it. I'm actually getting off now. Really, this was a long one. I hope people got informed about some shit, found it useful, whatever. Appreciate it. See you later.